Hey guys, I'm Nat.
And I'm Ashton.
And we are the Nerds in Flannel. Hey guys, welcome back to episode 7.
Wow!
Episode 7, wow. You know, it's almost like we started this a week ago.
Almost.
Almost, yeah. No, over a week.
Yeah.
It's been 9 days.
We started on a Wednesday, and today, as we're filming, is a Friday.
Oh. It is a Friday. Dude, I don't know what day it is anymore.
I only know that just because I had a class today.
Yeah, true. Okay, guys, welcome back. We are talking. What are we talking about today, Ashton? Tell them. What are we talking about?
We are talking about a movie that we only saw last night, so it's still pretty fresh in our heads. It's a movie nominated for, I think it's 3 Oscars?
3 Oscars.
3 Oscars. It's called Licorice Pizza.
Licorice Pizza, I know. That sounds terrible. Like, with title alone, I'm like, nah, bro, that ain't it, chief.
Yeah.
But, we watched the trailer, and I'm like, I have to go see this movie because it looked like something like I would enjoy, and you know, I just love movies.
Yeah. We saw the trailer, and for once it kind of looks like a fun little creative sort of like movie, kind of more of, I think it's based off of like certain characters in real life, but not everything's 100% accurate, and it's still more or less an original story. So it kind of felt refreshing to see something like this, especially with it being like still pretty new.
Yeah, it just came out like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Got a lot of buzz at like film festivals. I think it got a lot of buzz at Cannes and maybe Toronto. I know it got a bunch of like accolades at Cannes, but yeah, that's all I know. Nominated for 3 Oscars, as we said already, and I think this movie is probably the most well shot movie I've seen like in a long time. Which
is crazy because it wasn't even nominated for like a Best Cinematography award.
It honestly got robbed. Like, so context. We went last night, like 10 o'clock at night, and we were the only ones in the theater.
That was awesome.
Just the two of us, and like we were like yelling at the screen because we see like every single shot's like dang or like sheesh, and it was. Dude, it's a really good looking movie.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say bad about the cinematography.
Oh.
Maybe I'm a little biased because I just saw it last night.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think this movie deserves a lot more than it's gotten.
Yep.
But just having us two in the theater is not good enough, I think.
We enjoyed it.
At least one more person.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, and to be fair, we did see a late night showing, but also we saw a late night showing of Spider-Man No Way Home last week, and there were still people in the theater. Like, not a lot, but there still were.
Actually, there were 2 other people in the theater.
Yeah.
For Spider-Man.
Yeah, but like even having a little more recognition for this movie would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, honestly, I'll go again just to boost the numbers, stimulate the economy, if you will. So Licorice Pizza is kind of like a growing of age movie.
Yeah.
It's about these two. I'm gonna call them a couple. It's a couple that like their age difference is kind of weird. The girl is what, 25?
25. Yeah.
She's 25, and the boy is 15. Which is what on paper that's like maybe not, but no, the way this is. The way the screenplay is, the way that the dialogue is delivered, it really makes it kind of cute. Okay, wrong word. What word would you use?
I guess the way I'd put it, if you suppress your moral compass a little bit, it's
genuine.
It's a really genuine.
Yeah, there it is.
It's really genuine in how it's kind of told and presented.
Because, to be fair, it's not really. It's slightly like a what's the word? It's kind of a romantic relationship, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like friendship, and I think that works really well because of the age difference.
Yeah.
So it's about 2 characters. One name is Gary, and one name is Alana. Gary is played by Cooper Hoffman, who, if you know, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. And Philip Seymour Hoffman has been in a lot of things. What has he been? He's been in.
He was in Hunger Games.
Hunger Games
yep.
as I don't the top guy.
Yeah, and the first one of the game makers.
Yeah, he's oh my gosh. Why can't I why why can't I think of anything?
Because we went to see this movie pretty late.
Philip Seymour.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Yeah, he passed away a few years ago. In 2014. He was in Capote, The Masters, like you said again, The Hunger Games, Mission Impossible, Moneyball. Ooh, Moneyball! I love that movie. Boogie Nights. Yeah, he's been in a lot of like. He's a really good actor. He's more of like a character actor, so he has specific roles, and he doesn't really have like big roles in a lot of movies. But one movie, like I think is his greatest movie, is Synecdoche. Okay, I can never say it. Synecdoche, New York. It's like about this man going through a mental illness, and it's perfect. It's great. I highly recommend it if you can. It came out in 2008. Yes, and yeah. So Cooper Hoffman, that's his son, plays Gary, and Alana, who is the 25-year-old girl, is played by Alana Haim. I want to say Haim. Would you say Haim?
I would say Haim.
Yeah, and these two actors and actress they're fairly unknown.
Yeah.
And after this movie, their names are going to be on billboards, and they're going to get a lot more roles.
Hopefully, yeah. They did a really good job.
Probably one of them is going to go to the MCU. Everyone's going to the MCU now.
Yeah.
All right, Ashton, I know we talked about it a little bit, but what were your initial thoughts? Like expectations?
Yeah, so again, like we only really saw the trailer, and then we're like, hey, we should go see this movie. And that's what we did. So I didn't actually have a lot of context on it. But from that first shot where, I guess like we have to put out a spoiler warning as well.
Yeah, spoiler.
Why would you be listening to this if you weren't expecting spoilers?
I mean, you can watch it without like watching the movie. I mean, listen to us without watching the movie.
Hear the review.
But don't recommend it.
Yeah. It's nice to have a conversation going, and it's a movie definitely worth seeing. So if you can, see it. But yeah, from that first shot where, it's just kind of like right off the bat, you kind of get Cooper and Elena just kind of like walking, and Cooper's kind of hitting on her a little bit.
It's a oneer.
Yeah.
Actually, what's a oneer? Explain to the audience what a oneer is.
Yeah, it's kind of like a one-shot take. So there's no cuts in it. So the whole walking scene and everything is like in real time. It's a really impressive shot because they have to pace out how long they need that scene to be.
Yeah.
With all the different complexities and stuff that they're going to add into it.
It's about a 2-minute scene.
It's about a 2-minute scene, but they also have it, like, it doesn't feel stale because the camera's moving with the characters.
Yes.
And what they're talking about is pretty much setting up the whole movie.
Indeed.
And the script is written in a way where it's not really boring to listen to either.
Yeah.
Now, when you first kind of hear, like, their ages, you actually don't get Alana's age until closer to the end of the scene.
Go, oh boy.
Yeah, you go like, oh shoot, what's happening here?
1970s. Oh yes, yeah. It was based in the 1970s.
Yes, that's important. And honestly, I think like the person that plays Alana, her name's also Alana. Coincidentally, she honestly kind of like feels like a high school student at first.
Yeah, she's very young looking.
She's very young looking, so you want to actually guess that she's 25, like her character is. I think in real life she's like 30.
In real life she is 30 years old.
But yeah, you want to really guess that her character is 25, because she kind of fits in with all the other kids, and like how she carries herself.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting. You kind of get like, Cooper is like a guy, he's like a kid who is super mature for his age, but he's still lacking in those little things to make him like an adult. And then Alana is kind of like this adult who's still a kid in a lot of ways. So you put the two together and you kind of see this pretty great progression. Mm-hmm. And just, again, the way it was shot was probably the most captivating for us.
Yeah. There's some shots where I'm like, did Christopher Nolan consult on this movie?
Yeah.
Because Christopher Nolan movies are known to have really good cinematography. Same with Denis Villeneuve. And, oh, dude, We'll get into our top 10 favorite movies of all time, but I think this made it in. Honestly, I think this made it in just because of cinematography, and I honestly fell in love with it. I would watch it again tonight if I could.
Dang.
Spoilers for our top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Nat, what do you think kind of stuck out to you, like, right at first, like, your first impressions of it?
I think it felt very nostalgic. And I know I'm tainted by the nostalgia bias, but I think this movie is just the way it presents itself. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing that a lot of movies often get mistaken because, you know, they have this like really like dark subject matter, but they make it really funny. This movie is mainly about just growing up and relationships and trying to make it in the world and try to like get money. And the way that it's all set up from the very beginning, like, you know what's gonna happen, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
They do set up like some things about like the character's background, like how like Gary has a brother, and anyone. It's just it's set up very well.
Yeah.
The screenplay got nominated for an Oscar, and rightly so, because this movie is mostly dialogue.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get like spectacular like action scenes or anything like that, but it's just really good to watch and watch the dialogue just take over a scene. What else stood out to me? I mean, the actors.
Yeah.
I think everyone in this movie is good. Like the two leads. What's his name? Bradley Cooper's in this movie.
He was amazing.
He makes a very like small cameo. He's in the movie for maybe what, like 10 minutes?
Something like
10,
that.
15 minutes tops.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Sean Penn is also in this movie.
Yeah.
If you don't know Sean Penn, he's been in a lot of old movies. Dang it! Why can I never remember Sean Penn? I'm pretty sure it was in a James Bond movie. I'm probably wrong about that. Sean Penn. Oh my gosh. I'm looking at the IMDb. He's not on this. Maybe he was just a cameo for it. That's what I was thinking. No, but like, all the actors are good. Especially the child actors. Because there's a lot of child actors in this movie. And you would think that children can't act, but they can. Especially in this movie, because they're just playing kids. Yeah. And I think that's like what some movies don't do right. They try to make kids act like not their own age. And that just falls apart.
Yeah, a little bit. And yeah, I would say also with it being set in the 70s, like at least from my understanding of the 70s, for kids things were a lot more laid back, at least more so than they are like in our current age if you compare like now to then.
Yeah, time. Man.
Kids were more like kids back then and not like, you know, asking all the world's deepest, toughest questions or trying to start businesses like they are now.
Yeah, back then, kids were much more mature.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got 15-year-olds starting a business.
Yeah.
We're 21. We just started a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess something else that kind of stuck out to me a little bit with this movie, and I was just looking it up, and I was right. The way it's shot, again, like, it's set in
We're
the
going to talk a
70s.
lot about that.
We're going to talk a lot about that, because that's kind of what we liked more. Actually, maybe before we go any further, it'd be, like, just to kind of set the scene. Mm-hmm. The movie's called Licorice Pizza because I looked it up online last night. It's because who's the director again? Paul Thomas Anderson.
P.T. Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson.
PTA. Yeah. So he kind of set the movie with this like 70s vibe, mm-hmm. and he named it Licorice Pizza because there's a vinyl store that was called Licorice Pizza because the bottom of a vinyl looks like black licorice and like a pizza.
Yeah.
Now,
obviously.
Last night when right after I got back home, I was just like thinking about the movie, and I texted Nat. I was like, "Yo, do you think they named it Licorice Pizza?"
I'm like, "You might be right, bro."
Because it's about two things that shouldn't go together. I don't know. Maybe that's a double meaning. But yeah, that's to kind of set the scene why it has the name it has, and then the way everything was done, like the colors and the costume design and everything, it kind of screams sort of like this 70s 80s like movie, super high quality. And the reason they did that, or the way they did that, was they shot it with old school Panavision C series anamorphic lenses.
That's what I said!
From the 60s and 70s. Yeah.
I said that in the theater!
Nat noticed that right away, and yeah.
Yeah, we're really nerdy.
Yeah, we...
Did they shoot it on anamorphic lens?
Yeah, and that was such a good call. Like, nothing looks weird.
There's no bad shot.
There's no bad shot. You could tell, like, every shot was meticulously planned. And for people that are, like, more cine nerds, you notice that, you appreciate that. And for people that aren't, like, I think it only adds more depth to the story and just makes it a little more memorable.
Yeah.
Because your brain comes away remembering, like, different or visuals as well as the story. Mm-hmm. Also, the audio design was pretty good, too.
Yeah, the sound design, just little things like background noise, like cars going by.
Yep.
Like the slamming of a car door. You don't think that would be important in a movie, but man, they sounded crisp.
They did.
They sounded so crisp in this movie. Yeah, I honestly, I don't really have anything bad to say about this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a little too long. It does run in 2 hours and like 14 minutes.
Yeah.
I think they could have shaved off maybe like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I think just there was a lot of just like characters going and hum. Also, we didn't get answers to a lot of questions we had in the movie.
Right.
Maybe there's going to be a sequel. Probably not. But I don't know, because there's this one character in the movie where we're like, what does that guy mean? And Ashton, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The guy in the number 12 shirt.
There's a guy at the end, he's kind of stalking this political office that Alana's volunteering at. And he's watching, like, from across the street. He actually comes into, like, the office for a second and then leaves. So Alana goes to confront him. And he's just like, well, it's a free country. I can be here. And, yeah, just crap goes down. And then you see him in another shot later. He kind of, like, tailed Alana to this restaurant. Mm-hmm. But then, after the restaurant scenes, you don't see anything from him. So, yeah, I haven't seen anything. I mean, from from the little research or film breakdowns I've seen since seeing this last night, I haven't actually seen anything as to, like, why he was there, what his purpose was. I think he has to represent something, because you don't just throw a character in there in such a well, like, written movie that has no meaning. So there's got to be something.
Paul Thomas Anderson is a very deliberate director. There's everything that he puts on the screen is put on the screen for a reason. Like, there was this one scene where they're, like, going through this, like, convention center, like, for, like, people are selling things, and we saw the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Like,
from the 60s.
The Admiral West Batmobile.
And it was so cool.
Why did they put that in? And then as they pan into the convention center with another amazing shot, I was looking for Easter eggs. I didn't find any. But that's the thing with PT films. He wants your eyes to be locked on the screen and looking. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, like, really key for a movie like this. Because you think that a movie like this isn't going to have details. It's not going to have a hidden meaning or anything. But filmmaking so much about the little details.
Yeah.
Even, like, the twitch of, like, a nose, or, like, the crooked smile of a character. It's very, everything that you should do should be deliberate.
Yeah.
Everything that you show the audience should have a purpose on screen.
100%.
Wow, that got deep real quick.
They did that really well with the camera work.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, this is something that stuck out to us, but just the way they made the shots. They had a lot of different shots that they used.
Indeed.
But a common theme with them was there was a lot of this sort of, like, more bokeh effect where, like, you kind of have the focus mainly on the main characters, and you see other stuff in the shot, but enough of it is blurred out that, like, your focus stays on those characters.
Yeah.
And then it'll pan into, like, whatever's happening in the background if it needs to. If not, it'll go to the next shot, which is usually sort of this, like, wider shot that shows, like, both of, like, the co-leads together, or maybe it's just a wide view of, like, a setting or something. Mm-hmm. And just the way the transitions were smooth. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but this movie is very technical. Yeah. And the way that it's presented to you, it's done very old-fashioned, like we said, with the anamorphic lens, because in this type of storytelling, everything's focused on one person at a time. Mm-hmm. So it's all about, what does this character want? What is this character, like, thinking? And one shot, Alana, the female character, she is getting news. And as she's getting news, her vision of the other characters is getting more blurry and more blurrier and blurrier and blurrier and blurrier. And I said that to Ashton in the theater, and I'm like, dang, bro! Either we're really nerdy, or that's just really like stood out to us. Because,
I think we're just pretty nerdy.
Yeah. How about we meet in the middle?
Sure.
We'll meet in the middle.
Sure.
And man, like, this movie's so good.
Yeah.
This probably won't be as long as our other episodes because, you know, we just watched it. We don't have much to talk about it. Maybe we'll revisit it sometime. I don't know.
Yeah.
This movie's just really good. Actually, anything else?
Yeah. Maybe quickly we can touch a little bit more on the controversy because, like, again, as Nat said, the movie kind of focuses more on friendship.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of comparisons with this movie and, like, Cuties and just some other weird
and Boogie
stuff.
Nights. Boogie Nights, also directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Not a film I would watch with your family.
Fair enough.
It is rated R. This movie is rated R,
Yeah.
and so is Boogie Nights. But Boogie Nights is a R rating in the 70s. So do with that what you will.
Yeah. And yeah, like, again, set in the 70s, and like, things were different then. But I think, like, personally, one thing I would have changed about the movie, I can understand, like, maybe if, like, Cooper was, like, if you wanted to make it more romance oriented, if Cooper was, like, more 17 or 18 and Elena was, like, 22 or something, then you can get away with that a little bit easier. But just kind of, like, putting in, like, this big old 10-age year gap, and the movie isn't really about the relationship, like, at least not how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
It's more about, again, like what Nat said at the beginning, it's a coming-of-age film. You kind of see where the two characters are at, and you see their development come to, like, a fulfillment. And you see Elena kind of learn to grow up a little bit more. But she also... And then you see, like, Cooper... kind of, like, he does, like, he grows up, he has his business, he matures. I think Elena's development was done a little bit better, though. Mm-hmm. Where she kind of,
absolutely,
she kind of learns to make herself into something. Because at the beginning of the movie, she thought she was destined to be this photographer's assistant in a high school forever.
Yeah, she thought she had no life because her family is very successful.
And throughout the movie, you kind of see her gravitate towards... like, these actors or these people of influence who could get her to places, but you kind of see that they're also just using her for their own clout. And then, but, like, Cooper's, like, the only kind of person that actually takes a liking to her.
Yes.
And she kind of sees that, and she kind of also grows to be a little more independent, too. And then Cooper, you kind of see, like, his sort of... He kind of becomes more of an individual. He's... at the end of the movie, like, he starts his business and everything, but then kind of at the ending scene, you also see that his heart softens a little bit more because there's a super tense scene, and then they come together in that magnificently shot scene. But again, like, that's kind of
a work of art.
It's a work of art. But again, that's kind of more what the movie's about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would have felt more comfortable if the age gap wasn't 10 years.
See, yeah, same with me. I understood that it was the 70s, so that's why you kind of have to just, like, flip a switch in your mind saying, I mean, in the 70s.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happened in the 70s.
And I don't think this movie's trying to push an agenda or anything.
No, not at all.
It's just telling a story, and not in a way that's making you think differently about kind of our cultural setting. It's not like a social commentary like Joker was.
No. This is just a movie that knows it's a movie.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to tell a story that is independent from everything else. There is a little bit of political stuff, like, as in, like, you know, there's a councilman running for mayor, but other than that...
And the gas thing. Like,
and the gas shortage in LA in the 70s. Yeah, that was a big thing. Other than that, this is a very contained movie. You can just watch this whenever, really. Yeah. Ashton, should we take a commercial break?
Let's do it.
Okay, guys, enjoy a word from our sponsor. Hey guys, this episode is sponsored by Anchor.fm. Anchor.fm is the best way to edit and record your podcast. We've been using Anchor for all of episodes, and it's worked perfectly. But it's come to a point where we want to start like making premium content, and to unlock that premium content, that's going to cost you $5 a month as like a premium member of our podcast, and it'll cost $5 a month. And Ashton, tell them how they can subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, so if you wanted to support our channel, our podcast channel, that is, go to anchor.fm/nerdsinflannel. Again, that is anchor.fm/nerdsinflannel. We thank you for your support.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back. Okay, so Ashton, we were talking a little bit about during the break, and let's talk about Bradley Cooper's character.
Yeah.
Now, Ashton, tell me who he plays and his significance to our lives.
Yeah. So John Peters is the character that is portrayed in this movie by Bradley Cooper, but in real life, he is a film producer. Still alive. Yeah. So some movies that you would know that, like, if you know of John Peters, some notable movies he's directed. A Star is Born from 1976.
Not the Lady Gaga one.
Not the Lady Gaga one.
Although it is good.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny because Bradley Cooper was in the new one.
Oh yeah,
so there's a little bit of that correlation there. And then Wild Wild West. Superman Returns is a big one. Batman, the Michael Keaton one, 1989, and then the sequel to that one, Batman Returns. Money Train. That's another one I've heard a lot about. Clue. Yep. I'm just kind of going off of the ones that I recognize. Man of Steel is a more recent one. The 2013 Zack Snyder one. Yeah. And he's been involved in some other Superman ones as well. Superman Returns, and I think a couple older Superman projects too.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's... And 101 Dalmatians, that's another big one. So John Peters has, like, produced a lot of that stuff. But I think in real life, they kind of tease him a little bit in this movie from what I've heard. But they also kind of, like, tease him in a way that kind of meets the perception of, like, people that know of him.
Yeah.
Kind of this eccentric character.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper plays him very energetic.
Yeah.
They dressed him like a member of ABBA.
Facts.
It was fun. It was so fun to watch. Bradley Cooper just nailed that role, and I don't have much to say about this character. Ashton, do you have anything else to say?
He was a standout character.
Yeah.
One character I took up issue with, I don't actually recognize his name, but it was also kind of funny, but in a really bad way. It was that Japanese restaurant owner.
Oh, no, that's John Michael Higgins.
John Michael Higgins.
I think. John Michael Higgins. If you guys don't know who John Michael Higgins is, he played Jerry Frick. He's like a restaurateur. So he's trying to get ads for his restaurants and stuff. John Michael Higgins, he's been in he played that guy in Pitch Perfect with the commentator, which I thought was really funny. Him and Elizabeth Banks, just like, dude, that's some funny stuff.
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell. Big Hero 6, the TV series, he played like a Minimax, like, and prison guard, and yeah, no, that dude, yeah, man, it's so racist. He played a really racist character, but like in a funny way. Like everything in this movie is very tasteful.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, again, like, he's funny because you hate him.
Yeah, honestly,
that's kind of the humor there. That one scene where Cooper just goes in and, like, greets this guy, and he's just like, and greets his wife, and he's just like, actually, I have a new wife now. That's not her. It's like, dude, I was like, what?
Hey, to be clear, there was no line crossed.
Yeah.
There was no line crossed. It was just really funny.
It was just, it comes out of left field. You're not expecting a lot of that humor.
You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting character. Other than that, like I think we said before, all the, like, co-leads had a really good chemistry going on, and I think they nailed it with the actors for this movie.
Yeah, well, this is a perfect segue to Ashton. Who is your favorite performance of Licorice Pizza?
Bradley Cooper. 100%. The charisma he brings, he steals the show, and he only has like 10 minutes of screne time.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah,
this is a fact.
Yeah.
For me, it would have to be Alana Haim, who played Alana.
Yeah.
She was just so good for a first time actress. Like, she nailed it.
100%.
I think she's gonna go on to do very big things. Similar to Florence Pugh and Saoirse Ronan from Brooklyn, when she was in Brooklyn. Man, I can it's hard to pronounce like British names. She brought a very grounded performance. It felt really real, and like the way she acted with everyone else, she seemed to have like chemistry with everyone else, and I know that's kind of like also a really good thing about the whole cast, but she was nailing every line, and like the vulnerability she brought, and she's actually a really good crier.
Yeah.
If underrated thing in Hollywood, a good crier. Yes. Ashton, let's talk about one more thing.
Sure.
Before we wrap it up, because shorter podcast today, I want to talk about the soundtrack. Now, for those who don't know 70s music, let me take you through a journey. I'm old in heart, in spirit. So I love old music, and naturally, you would think old would be like Nat loves 90s music. No, man, I listen to like 50s music. I listen to really old stuff, and when I was listening to the soundtrack for this, like last night and this morning, I like some of the music in this is just awesome, especially like when you listen to the words and the scenes happening, it just brings that like another layer of depth to the film.
Yeah.
I would call this a film, not a movie.
Yes.
Okay, so we have David Bowie, who did Life on Mars. That song's in the trailer. It's also in the movie as well, but I think that's the biggest song from there. We have song from what's it called? Sonny and Cher, iconic. The Doors, Chuck Berry, Steve Miller Band, Bing Crosby.
Oh my.
Yeah, so these are some big names here.
Yeah.
They also wrote actually, I think Johnny. So it's Johnny Greenwood. Let's see here. Quick thing. So Johnny Greenwood, he is a musician, and he's written for a bunch of movies that came out this year. He wrote an original song called "Licorice Pizza." Well, obviously for the movie, and it's really good. Listen to it. It's a ballad, but I think if you listen to the words, it makes sense in the context of the movie. We also have Gordon Lightfoot, and that's all I know. Oh, and Mason Williams. If you know Mason Williams, yeah. Seals and Croft. I think they did Summer Breeze. Did they do Summer Breeze? Actually, do you know that song?
No, I don't.
Summer Breeze. I was right.
Hey, that's their top popular song
Summer
on Spotify.
Breeze makes me feel. No, I'm not gonna try to sing it for you guys. Yeah, Ashton, what do you think of the soundtrack?
Yeah. Again, like the sound design, the audio design, and like just the music choices, it only adds to the experience of the whole movie. I don't think like the audio. A gripe I have. I mean, this is a gripe more to do with some of James Gunn's recent movies with him adding in old music. Sometimes it can take away from the scene, or the music steals the show, and that's what you remember from that scene or from that movie, which is fine. But in this movie, it complements each other.
It's all in the background.
It's done tastefully. It's in the background. You hear it, and when you think about that scene, you're also thinking about the music, and again, like the camera work and the actors on screen for that scene.
Absolutely.
And instead of it just being one of, like, you're thinking of it as an all-encompassing thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashton, anything else before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Go see this movie. This is the poster for it's really dope too.
Yeah, it's very. Oh man,
it's very vintage.
It kind of. I don't know what it reminds me of. Oh, kind of like the '70s show. I guess that would make sense since it's based in the '70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening today. We have an episode coming out tomorrow. I won't tell you what it is.
Surprise!
But it's a shorter episode just because we wanted to release something for the weekend.
Yep.
And then we are going to potentially have a Valentine's Day special episode.
That one's going to be good.
Now, there's a reason why this is so important to us. It's because we're going to be collabing with another podcast from the Ladies at Vibes podcast. Now, we all go to the same school. They started a podcast. We started a podcast. I'm like, hey, want to collab? They're more of like a current events / like, I want to say, just talk about random things to a podcast. We're basically just the nerds. We'll be talking about boys and girls and how boys and girls act around each other. We did say this podcast is about girls as well.
Yep.
Lol. If you read the bio. And next week, I don't know what we'll have out next week.
We'll figure that out. It's not hard to come up with ideas.
No, we record 3 episodes in one day, one time.
Yeah, true.
But next weekend we'll have probably a podcast coming out about our experience at Fan Expo this year.
Yes.
Very excited for Fan Expo. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
100%.
Because we missed it last year because obviously COVID, but they're opening up to a limited amount of people, and I'm just really excited to go. We're gonna get a picture with the one and only Kevin Smith.
Yes.
If you don't know who that is, it's Jane from Jane Silent Bob from the Comic Book Men, right? Comic Book Men?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right. And also, he's just an actor. He's a big nerd like us, but he's the king of the nerds.
And he also, especially like,
we're the serfs.
He's huge here in like kind of like the British Columbia Lower Mainland area.
Yeah.
Because he also kind of helped push for a movie theater saving movement a couple years back.
Yeah.
There's this big theater here called the Rio, and they were going to get shut down. So he really like put out his public support for that theater, and yeah, so for a lot of people here, he's also huge because he helped save a theater that everyone loves.
Yeah, I've been to that theater. That is an institution. You cannot remove that.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ashton?
I think I'm good.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Nat.
And I'm Ashton.
And we are
the Nerds in Flannel.
See you guys later.